All right, well, welcome everybody. I know that there was some more interest in this this process, so there might be some more people as time goes on. I'm not sure, but I'd first like to introduce myself. I'm Aaron Sadoff. I'm proud to be the superintendent of School District North Fond du Lac. This is my 6th year as the superintendent, my 9th year in the district, and prior to that, I worked in Manitowoc at Lincoln High School teaching psychology for 3 years, and then in the Fond du Lac School District teaching at Fond du Lac High School and Woodworth Middle School teaching social studies and psychology also. Also grew up in St. Peter in the Holy Land, so kind of around this area, in the military, went out and then came back, and as most people say, when you got kids all they want to do is leave, but then when they get away they figure out this is a great place to raise a family. Come on up, sir, we got another spot for you. So, and I agree. So, thank you very much for coming. Some of you got a letter or an email from me. Yep, coming back around. Some of you might have checked on the website, word of mouth. However you got here, what I want to say is thank you for coming. We are public education, government. I don't know if you've listened to politics lately in the past 4 years and what's been going on. You know, it's not only just with schools, but it's you look at communities, you look at county government, city government, even you look at police, fire, anything that deals with public taxpayer money has been looked at more and more, just as things are getting more difficult, and well, it should. But one thing as we've been moving forward, we know that the buildings and the facilities and the money that we have are a great blessing and gift from the community for our kids to go through. And one of the things in our area, in our school district that serves North Fond du Lac, Friendship, El Dorado, Lamartine, the town of Fond du Lac, and also the city of Fond du Lac, where there's no students, but we still have a part of the city, is that we understand that greatly. The board is very supportive and understands that whatever we do in this district, we need to be accountable for. And we want to be as proactive as we can. And right now, when we look at our situation, especially with financing and needs in the state, as it relates to running our company or our business of the School District North Fond du Lac, we know that as time goes on, we're going to need facility needs. It just happens. And the way that budgets are right now, and the way that things are working, and the way that we're looking in the state, we really aren't looking at an investment long-term type of situation. I think we've noticed that as things go on, it goes from one ideology to another ideology, and then at the local area, we are left to deal with what we have. And I think have done a very good job in this district under the leadership of superintendents way before me, including Mr. Kellogg, who's right here, and all the great people in this community that have supported public education in North Fond du Lac. So, we came at about a time right now where we're like, you know, we can't be reactive all the time, because if we're reactive all the time, we're never going to get things done, and we can never plan for issues that we have. We know that now with the high school, it's been 14 years, 15 years since that high school's been built. This past year, 2 water heaters have been installed. The HVAC has had to be looked at numerous times. We're looking at some pipes that have to be replaced. There's quite a few things that are starting to need repair. Even though that's our #1 building as far as newest, and also with all the remodels in North and Bessie Allen, we know that in time we're going to need to have a budget so that we can look at those things. We also know Early Learning Center has that was saved at the last minute from what I understand. That was almost going to be demolished, but it was saved at the last minute, and that was the Horace Mann to Bessie Allen, and now it's our early childhood and our and Arts for Kids rents part of it for a daycare. And we know Friendship, which has been built on 3 times, I believe 3 or 4 times. The last time was in the 90s. It serves well, but we have issues over there with, is it the right fit for our kids? We look at HVAC, we look at roofing, all those different things. So, getting together with the board, and this was last year in the spring, we thought, you know what, we need to have a plan. So what we ended up doing is put a request for proposal, working with the board, the administrative team, with Dave, our maintenance director, Maria, our business manager. We thought, well, we only know so much, let's get somebody to come in here and do an assessment of what our facilities are. Hey, Joan, how's it going?
Good, good.
Good.
You got a chair, you come right over here.
Okay. Thanks.
So and that's what we did. We put out a proposal, request for proposal to do a facilities study, and Bray Architects did that. They reported to the board, I believe it was in November. what the results were, and that kind of started us on our way. Now, underneath the board suggestion and with the district administration leadership, that's where this all came about. So, what you're here for tonight is a couple things. Number one, I want to share some resources and then talk a little bit about what the expectations of the committee are going to be. I've given you kind of a timeline, kind of that we developed, what we're looking at going forward, and then also introduce everybody that's at the table right here to see kind of what perspective they're coming from. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that gets lost when we look at any governmental or community aspect is this school district is not here just to serve the kids that go here and their families. This school district is something that serves and works for the betterment of the whole entire community. And if we get those perspectives from people who have children, who are educators in here, or work here, who have kids that have, bless you, who have kids who have graduated, different perspectives, different ideologies, different political persuasions, that's where we're going to have our best results. So, tonight is organizational, lay out some ideas and information, get some feedback from you, and then kind of tell you how it's going to all roll out. And I can tell you, just right now, we're going to be looking at meeting as a group, and if you can, on the second Monday of the month and the fourth Monday of the month at 5 to about 7, at least for the next 2 months, in March and April. And in that time, we're going to be looking at having Bray come back and talk to the group about what they shared with the board, about what their research showed from looking at our facilities. And then we're also going to be, looking at other data and information that we got from staff and looking at what other information are we missing that we want to get from our community as looking at our facilities. And then the next thing is also things don't just happen because, and a lot of people, including myself, unless I was in education, would not understand how financing works in education in schools. So we'd also look at one of those meetings to do this. It's kind of an interactive activity that really helps explain how financing works. Because whatever plan that we have, one thing that I'm very sure of is that to do everything and make a plan for long range for our facilities and then find out, well, there's no way to get resources to afford this, then why are we even sitting here talking? So these things work together, the resources in order to implement that plan and what that plan should be. And then after those things, what we're going to end up is looking at, okay, what could that plan look like? When are we going to have to replace roofs? When are we going to have to do asphalt? When are our buildings going to run to a point where, just like you would with your car, do I keep putting money into that car or do I go and get a different car? At what point in time do we see that cost kind of working out where we should be looking at maybe changing facilities, renovations, remodelings, or even building? So that's kind of what this committee is all about, is number one, looking at what Bray came together with. Number two, what we'll do is we'll take and look at school finance so you have an understanding of how that works. So whatever we would do, that's one of a big aspect. And I don't believe in having these huge, awesome dreams and plans that can't even come to fruition. So I think that's a huge part of it. And then the last part would be, what is that plan? What should that plan look like? How does that structure? Are there options? What stakeholders haven't we talked to? And then make the plan. And as you can see in this committee outline, finalize that plan in next fall, or even if it spills into next 2016, the winter or spring of 2016. And then if we are going to do anything that needs resources and anything building or bigger, anytime that we would ever go to referendum or do anything, it is the mindset of the Board of Education, myself in this district, that we are as transparent as possible. And if we would ever do anything to go and ask the community for more resources outside of our revenue cap, I would think it would want to be when we have the highest turnout, and that would be the presidential election in 2016. Yeah, so we have a lot of time. If that's the route we're going to go, and it may very well not be. But it doesn't put us into, it puts us into a very good place where we can do a lot of learning, a lot of developing, and find out what the community wants for the school district and its facilities as we move forward. Any initial questions on that? Yes?
You talked about roofs, and I watch the paper all the time. We're having referendums that put roofs on the building. Isn't that part of operation of the district that we kind of maybe roofs all scheduled out that every year you put look on here or look on there. Isn't that part of your regular budget that we don't have to have a referendum to push on?
It used to be, but when we've looked at, our budget right now is actually lower than it was 5 years ago because of the cuts that we've gotten from the state government, and we look at property taxes and things. So when we look at, we still, like currently right now, the school district, we do those things. Like we've been able to maintain our buildings the best that we can, but we know that there's gonna be bigger ticket items, and this year we're looking at probably next year running at, before we start looking at what we're gonna cut, when we start cutting, it's gonna be looking at people and programs and looking at class sizes and things, because there just is no more room. And we know that there's gonna be bigger items coming up. So we're looking at a different opportunity to look at if we can afford them through what we have currently that we raised, if we're gonna either have to start looking at cutting staff or look at having some sort of other stream of revenue. But ideally, you're 100%, and that's how it used to be. But right now, it's not like that. Yeah.
Right now, every 5 years we replace a fire truck. Things are steady out.
And well, the big thing that we do is we don't make anything or serve, it's lives, kids' lives. And what happens with, and come on in, because what we're seeing the needs and what we need for staffing and things for our students and for our needs are different. And that's why I love that you came here, because how a school runs and what a school does is very different than other entities also. There's similarities, but it's different. You're right that I wish we could do that, but the reality of it is we don't have those resources anymore to do that.
Those were the good old days.
The only other aspect is when I looked at it is you heard Bree, I mean, what Thompson's way, I worked with Bree when he did principal and stuff like that. But you heard Bree to the study and they figured out what you need, and then you heard Bree to do the design of it, and then if you need to have a referendum, if they're Bree to push the referendum, isn't that kind of a conflict?
We're not doing that. The RFP was just for getting that information, and there's nothing tied to them. That's a price, we're paying them. And then if we're gonna do something, as you know, as recommended to the board, if we're gonna do something, the board would make that decision if we would hire a different architect. There is no done deal here. There is nothing that there's any idea. It's just, these are some very difficult times, and we do not want to be reactive to what our needs are. And I can just tell you from being in this district, working with Dave and Maria and our administrative team and the board, there's going to be significant needs that are going to be coming, and we just want to try to stay ahead of that. But by no means, just because Bray did this study, are we by any means whatsoever that, and that was talked with at the board numerous times, that we don't want to hire somebody just to tell us that we need to spend a lot of money to build something and then let them get all the money for building it. Exactly, that is not what that is, but I hear what you're saying.
Well, we got to this, and then you hired them to do it. The conflict of interest. I just saw the firm that doesn't do construction work, but could analyze your needs and doesn't get into your business. That would be more appropriate type people to analyze your needs.
And through the RFP, we had a group kind of like that, but they didn't have nearly the skill set and the resources to get us the data that we got from Bray. But you're 100% right, and that's why we're here.
That's it.
Yep. And we talked about that numerous times as a board. The board did. Any other initial questions? What's that?
That's why I came.
Oh. All right, so then before we go any farther, if we want, just start, go around, kind of introduce yourself and just kind of tell, kind of like what your perspective, like who do you represent? Like for instance, I would say my name's Aaron Sadoff. I represent, I'm an employee of the school district. I'm a taxpayer in the village, and I also have 3 kids that currently go into our district. So I've got the parent perspective, the employee perspective, and also a village resident perspective.
I'm Dave Mann. I've been with the district 4 years and building and grounds director. I do see need for us operating and a lot of stuff.
I'm Steve Hogg. I'm a parent of 3 alumni, I guess, graduates of the district, and I'm on the school board.
My name is Grant Elijah. I'm retired and located in the school district and resident information.
I'm Jerry Street. This summer will be 40 years since I moved into the area, so I think it's good. There's things that change. All my kids were in school, I think, in the 80s. So the reason I came too is I think the stuff that we read, you take with a grain of salt because there's so many things going on in education. And then things happen where you kind of get a little distressed. One of my feelings is that the university system, the money that was involved, it sort of was not known, and I wondered how could this ever happen. And raising tuition on kids for what is a 6% for like 5 years, and these kids are going into debt. And the more you read now is that these college graduates, they're not going to be able to buy houses in the near future because of the debt that they become. So I think what interests me is to do this, and my son Mike mentioned it, might as well sit down and see what's happening. Not that I'm retired. I really don't want to work here. I don't want to have to make any big decisions, so to speak, and I don't have those many because life has changed quite a bit. So that's what I want.
Mike Streeter, village trustee, and I go to school board meetings occasionally, and heard this come up last spring, and it's something I'd be interested in. Because I'm always interested in the finances from the village side and from the school district side, and seeing what the community can afford. So I just get involved and see where this is going to lead to.
I'm Maria Putzer. I'm the business manager here. This is my 4th year here. Anything having to do with money in the district?
I'm Mary Schultz. I've lived here all my life. I went to school here. My 2 daughters went to school here. I'm a custodian at ELC. And yeah, I'm interested to see what we can do there.
I'm Rob Seidel. I'm a village resident. We've been here about 16 years. 2 kids are going through the school district. They're in college now. I'm here to, I've got a background in technology. I'm hoping I can help in some insight there. But interested as a community member.
My name is Don Kellogg, retired. I've been interested in the school district for about 40 years, maybe 50. So I'm kind of interested to see what's going on.
Yeah, my name is Doug Schultz. I'm retired. My 2 kids graduated from high school here. And I guess I was involved in the last building committee. So I see what's going on, I guess.
I'm Joe Thomas. I live just out of the village. I have 2 kids that graduated from here. I'm just kind of interested in seeing how this is going to turn out.
Pete Chisholm, I'm Board of Education. 2 children that are also alumni of the district that I'm on. My perspective here is many of you know that I've been pretty involved in supporting the arts here for a number of years and also supporting community projects. So I see the people coming into our school for other events. And so I see that outreach, and I think that's important to help continue to support that as community offerings. But also, obviously, we have a tremendous fiduciary responsibility as board members too.
I'm Melanie Cowling, the Friendship Learning Center principal. I've been with the district for 13 years. I live in the village. My daughter graduated from Horace Mann High School. I deal with facilities pretty much every day, sometimes multiple times in a day. I am very much invested in the future of our district. I believe in everything that we are working hard to accomplish, and I want to be part of a group, a committee that is equally interested in our future. And I think facilities are an area that we should be keeping moving at.
I'm Chuck McCourt, I'm Friendship, retired from, I've been in the numerous kids go to school. Yeah, I got 4 grandchildren. I've been involved over the years. I was involved way back when they built Friendship Learning Center. I was on the school board at that time. And I was involved in addition to the Friendship. I wasn't involved with all of them. Wanted to see what's going on.
I'm Joan Blatz, and obviously I'm the newbie here. I only have 3 years in the village. Sorry. And I don't have any children that graduated from here. They did graduate from the Springs. But I love kids, and I love to see the overall place look nice for them. I'm just feeling bad what's been happening the last couple of years. And if I can do anything to help keep our school up, I don't really care. I mean, sure, I care about taxes, but our kids mean a lot to us. They're going to be paying our Social Security. So I want to keep them moving, keep them smart, keep in school.
Cool. Excellent. Joe?
Joe Baramonte. I have 3 kids in the school district now, 2 in high school and 1 in middle school. Sorry, Melanie, they all out now?
Can't keep them forever.
Yeah. I moved to the village just before the referendum for the high school was passed, and that has far and away exceeded, the school district has far away and exceeded my expectations of a small town. I grew up in Milwaukee, so my expectations of school were completely different than what I've come with the school district out here, and I can't begin to tell you how great working with Eric for the numerous things, and Melanie and everybody that I've worked with over the past couple of years, how great it is to work with a group this like they got running it here, and if I can help out anyway towards planning it beyond my kids' years here, I'll give them anything they can.
Bruce?
Bruce Nyberg. I've been in the district, I guess, 26 years. I put 2 kids through here. Spent about 5 years working part-time here in the district with substitute teaching and in the maintenance area as well. So I'm familiar with what's going on here, coaching basketball teams and whatnot. So been involved with the school. I'm just still interested in what's going on here, even though my kids are gone.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. I appreciate you taking the time out of your lives to come and be here. And as I said, if you look on that front, the agenda, and then also this plan, really the future of this is really going to be driven by, we're going to have ideas, and right now we're working to get ready to get Clint, and I think, Mike, you were here? I think when Clint came, and I know you, Steve, you and Pete, Dave, to kind of have, the next thing would happen on March 9th is what we're trying. If it wouldn't be March 9th, then it would be the 4th, Monday before the board meeting at 5, to have Brady come and explain what they found. What they found is they did their facilities thing, not, hey, you should build this, or you should build that, or this is what we think. It's just what did they find, and then from that point, I think what we'll do is we'll generate some more questions about, well, what does it look like, as you said, Mr. McCourt, you know, with a good business plan is, well, how far out are our roofs to be replaced? How far out does the asphalt need to be done? How far out are HVAC over at ELC and FLC? How far out are we from doing other things that will impact student learning within the building? So that would be that first part, is to kind of look at the state of our facilities and have everybody have a pretty good understanding. The nice thing that we have at this table is we have you know, legacy, as Mr. Kellogg has put them into a place, probably started working here in year 5, since you have 50 years in, right? Like that Doogie Howser, you know, you started at 5, right? But we have a history of what these buildings have been like, and I know that Mr. McCourt also being on the board with the building. We have Mary, who's served as a great resource as a custodian here, and she's currently at ELC. And if you want to know what's going on at that building, she could tell you what's going on in that building inside and out. Dave's been here 4 years. We didn't really have, one of the things that Act 10 did bring this district as a positive is it gave us the ability to bring our custodians and maintenance back in-house, and we could afford that, and then developed a position where Dave is our head of maintenance and custodial, and he has a really good perspective on that. So we have all these ideas, we have all this information, so that would be our first thing, to look at where we're at. And then after that, then start thinking about, okay, now it's going to take a little bit of time to start saying, okay, go, Aaron, once we find this out, go find out this, or go put together and talk to people, Dave and everybody, about how long would it take and what is the lifespan of this and what would that look like and what should the plan of just the facilities as they are right now. I think that's one of the keys is that we look at what we have right now and what we can do to best utilize those facilities right now, maximize those, what that's going to look like. Then after that, once we get that, then we go into learning about the finances, because the reality of all of this, it's all about financial things. We also are looking at that a referenda from the high school is going to be paid off when, Maria, in 2 years?
2018.
2018. As a matter of fact, the board just authorized a rebonding issue, which is like a refinance, and we actually, how much are we saving with that because of low interest rates? We were able to do it.
$30,000
For the next, so about 60,000, so $90,000 just in interest savings. And then, so that will be retiring, and that is going to have an impact on our, our levy, a significant impact on our levy. It's $1 million a year. So when we look at what we have for opportunities, that's going to be another conversation. How does funding work? What does the state do? How do we get money from the state? What portion comes from the taxpayers? What portion comes from the federal government? Understanding that, so that when we go forward, we say, okay, here's the state of the district facility-wise. Now let's start generating some ideas. What would that cost? And look at those different information ideas, and then that's where we come to the point, okay, if it costs like that and the board isn't willing because of the community and financial situation, then if we have to do those things within our budget, how are we going to make that happen? You know, because you have, if you one thing that costs more, you got to spend less somewhere else. And in our district, if you read the article on Sunday, we actually are up 75 students from 2 years ago. We actually have a positive cash flow of almost $1 million from open enrollment. We were at negative 50, over 50 in 2006 and 7, and now we have a positive of 35 students coming in. We're increasing enrollment. Our 4K and 5K are looking pretty strong. We're actually looking at running out of a little bit of space at Friendship. Would you say that, Melanie?
We are.
So we have a situation too in our district that a lot of people don't realize. We are the second highest poverty district in the CISA. What a CISA is the state's broken into 12 like sub-regions, and our sub-region goes from New London all the way down to West Bend, and then on the west side of the lake out to Ripon and up there. And of the 42 districts, we are the second highest in free and reduced lunch applicants that qualify. So even in a situation where we're seeing that we do have kids that come in with a lot of need, doesn't mean anything else and that they just don't have resources at home, that some people do. We have a lot of need, and with that need comes also some facility needs, staffing needs, but also we have more and more kids coming in, which means that we're kind of going to look at that group as they come up. What's that going to look at the high school? Even though we built a beautiful high school, that be able to handle what we have. That's part of the whole facility look at, is what does our projected enrollment look at. That's going to be a whole thing too. So the 9th of March would be looking at what is the state of our facilities, generating some questions, so then the people who serve this district, myself, Maria, Dave, the board, our employees, we could go out and get that information, come back then, share some of that information probably in April, but in the meantime, in the end of March, get together again, or maybe we'd share that at the end of March, and then the second Monday in April, have an activity that Maria has been trained as a facilitator that really helps to understand how finances in schools work, so that the layperson, I mean, it helped me when I went through it, and I've been somebody who, this is what my job is, and I have a pretty good understanding. It made sense and helped me to draw some better analogies to help explain things. And then from that point, we're going to be getting to summer, but I think at that time we're going to have a core group that's really focused and wants to work hard to develop a plan.
Question. Now, when you get this paid off in 2018, you said that it's $1 million payment a year. in our township, if we went out and bought something, and spent a lot of money on roads, the government said we can levy for so many dollars. If we go out and borrow some money, we can increase our levy to make that payment. Is that the same with the school district now? When that $1 million payment goes away, do you have to lower your levy, or can you use that $1 million for something else?
No, we can't. We have, it's two separate things. We have a debt levy, and then we have our Fund 10, or our regular levy. So when that's done, that's done. So when that $1 million is no longer levied, that will be a decrease in taxes for the community. And that's pretty much 100% local, because back in, there might have been a little matching, but not much. So you're right.
Well, I'm just saying, at that point, if you had to, the money will go away, the $1 million will go away. But if you had to, you could spend $1 million a year and not raise it.
Right, but that would have to be through referendum. We couldn't just do
But I
it.
mean, that's how, I want to understand, because that's part of the town.
Yep.
When that's paid off, you lose that.
Right.
Okay.
So what it would be for taxpayers in essence is that when that, and once again, that'll be driven by need. But that's when we look at the opportunities that are coming up in 2 years, is we would have, without having an impact on what the levy is, the ability to generate that revenue through the referendum process by showing what we can
Now
do.
we have a tax increase.
Correct.
Which is the same as well.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Or less if we do anything as aggressive as that.
Correct. Correct. Or if the committee comes out with something different, then maybe it could be more if we looked at that. So it could be all up, but that would all be outside the revenue caps. And that's what the district is all, we only, like this year, like with the district is right now going to be losing $150 per student under the governor's budget right now, if it passes, which I'm sure there'll be some negotiations. So which means that we will have $150 less per kid, which equivocates to just over $160,000, $180,000 less money. And that doesn't, but we still have increased costs for electrical, for transportation, all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, you're right. That's when we look at the whole thing, and that's why when we go and look at that game, that's kind of a difficult concept to kind of look at. But that game or that demonstration or that exercise is really good to help understand how taxes work in the school district and where that comes. And it is similar a little bit to what you're talking about.
What is the enrollment?
1,275 right now.
That's interesting. When I was on the school board, we worked for, they said that we had to have three beginning centers because in 5 years, the district would have 1,200 students. You know how long that ship was built? We only got 1,275 and 35 this year.
Yep.
No, that's not, it hasn't really grown that much. I know you have to have better facilities because you have to teach them, you have to have field rooms and everything else, but I'm just saying enrollment wise, they told us, and it definitely hit, I think at one point they hit 1,300, they took, when they had 4K.
4K.
They hit 1,300, but they told us, within 5 years, it will be over 1,200.
We are if I can speak. We're a unique situation. That's a better way to put it, a unique situation. The majority of school districts that are increasing in enrollment are suburban, large city districts, like Mequon, Homestead, Menominee Falls, maybe like an Appleton, a Hortonville. So you see those where you see something, but North Fond du Lac is increasing in enrollment, not so much from people moving in and having kids within the district, but from open enrollment. So that's one of the things that working with Friendship, working with the village, working with anything we can do to bring more opportunities to this area and to Fond du Lac. I mean, the bottom line is we're a bedroom community. I mean, it is what it is. You know, we're never, maybe not never, maybe the trustees know some other things going on, but the reality of it is we're just not seeing that boom when you have Fond du Lac and you have Oshkosh, you got Truck, and now Grande's building on the south side of Fond du Lac. Reality of it is we create a village in an area where people want to live, where their kids feel safe, where they feel they have high value, where they feel that, you know, you wake up and you feel safe. You have, I mean, we have great police. We have, I mean, our village, the way we have our trash and our recycling is so much different than a lot of other areas. You have that, and that comes at a cost, but I think more people would want to live here, and as our schools continue to grow and get better and better, that's another thing that attracts. They can work other places if they live here, and I think that's what, I think the reality set in, where the way we're gonna grow in our school district is from other kids coming in, but then also what we can see is as an area starts to grow, that people say, you know what, I'd rather live in North Fond du Lac than St. Peter. Or I'd rather live in North Fond du Lac than out by Oakfield. Or I'd rather live in North Fond du Lac than in Lamira because of the services, the school, the community. And that's something that we can, that's kind of what this is all about. What I see us doing is doing something that will set us up to be successful, not be reactive to our physical building needs.
From what I've seen, we're very lucky to have the school we have. You know, I really think it's amazing, because I've done some work out here with some of the kids, and I've also worked at North Fond du Lac School. You know how many officers they have sitting around in Fond du Lac School watching the kids? Pretty sad. But there again, we have a difference in, you know, the number. They have many, many kids. But I think here, the parents have a better control over their children. Obviously, the teachers do, which makes a big difference. And that's all, you know, that's to our credit. Being a small community is the way to go as far as I'm concerned. That's where I was raised. So I went to a school with 1st till 5th grade, we're all in one room. So.
Mike.
So the goal for put together a questionnaire, I think we looked in there, it's like 1 to 5 questions or something like that. What's the timeline for that? Still like beginning of summer?
Yeah, and what I think what we'll see is people are busy, things are happening, and what we're gonna happen, we have time to get this going and to make it make sense. I think after we look at our facility needs, kind of just from the perspective of looking at what Ray found and also some other information that Dave and the team can get up about what we have, and then other questions that you may have about, well, did you look at this, did you find that out, we can do that. And then understanding kind of that financial aspect. After that, then start thinking, okay, we're a group of, what, 20 people here? What would fly, what wouldn't fly, and what information do people need? And
are you doing like a mass mailing or like postcard or?
I don't even know yet. What I do know is that there's a company called, what is it, School Perceptions, or they're out of Slinger. And I know that they do a really good job at gathering information, getting data. And they're pretty spot on when people want to know what the feeling of the community is. And if we would use a group like that, or if we would do something on our own, I don't know what that would look like. That's something that's still malleable, because I think, and you'd be a great person to kind of tap and find out, since you have a good pulse on the community, since you talk to people a lot, you're around, and what would be the best way to go about doing something like that.
Steve, what did you guys do for the last time in high school to get the word out? As far as a survey or whatever?
Door to door.
Door to door to change
Yeah.
door to door.
Like I remember living on Wisconsin Avenue, and I bet you I had 5 or 6 people, and I didn't think I moved here but 3-4 months before that.
One of the things that was done was they approached the PTO organization and had kind of started with that, kind of grassroots efforts, and laid out what the reasonings were and got those people on board. And my wife was a member of that group at the time. And then we had the challenge, okay, go out and find 10 people who will support this. And so that's what resulted in all of the door-to-door campaigns, and it was just a spread of people.
Yeah, every week you had like 10 people to contact.
And that was the way to get the information out to the community. And you watch the news the last couple of years, school district after school district after school district just going to referendum for operating expenses and other things. And more often than not, they get turned down, and it's because the first time that a person hears about it is when they walk into the voting booth, then you've already lost. And so the opportunity to educate people as to what the needs are, I think is a strong point of what the school can help do. And to define that is part of the
Well, the challenge is with El Dorado and Van Nuys and all those outlying areas, that's the challenge to get those folks involved.
Here's what I would say. I would say we're looking at two pieces of data. First off, what do you think about the district and what do you see its needs, or what would you like to see out of the district? Then that information with what we know with facilities-wise, we put together a plan. And I think I think we're putting like the cart in front of the horse here. We don't have any plan. We don't even know what's going to happen if there's referendum. But then the second part of gathering information would be, would you support X, Y, and Z, or this, and this? So I think that first one is, what are your, what do you know about the district? What do you expect from the school district? What would you be willing to look at as a taxpayer and a community member? And I think the key there, Mike, is that the mountain here, the school district, goes out. I think to have listening sessions here and at Friendship is fine for people who live here and at Friendship. I say we go out to Friendship Town Hall. I say maybe we go to Mr. Kellogg's house and we could go there and he could host a forum. Maybe we go to the Heidels right next door. We could have a picnic out in their front yard. Or maybe to the barber, to Snarls, or Cut and Loose. But I think we go out town of Fond du Lac, maybe go out to the Huron Apartments, maybe there's a building there we could go in. Go out to Gaslight Terrace and maybe Ashwood Grove. I know they have areas that we could talk to Flood and see Mark Flood or Eric Flood and see if we can have a listening session there. So I think the key is once we get this, not to expect people to come here, but for us to go ask them what they think and get that information. I don't know what those questions are quite yet, and I think that's something we can craft. But I would think the first one is to get information about their expectations of the schools and what they expect in the future from the schools and the facilities. Once we get that information, find out where we're standing with our facilities plan, look at financial things, then I think we're starting to look at that idea where you guys were contacting 10 people. If we do have something that will cause us to look at referendum, if we do have something like that, then there's another step of, here are 3 options. Or here are 4 options. Which one is palatable that you would support? And then the board can utilize that information, or the group could then recommend to the board, here's the data that we got. Mayville, Mayville's going to referendum. I don't know if you've read about that, Mayville's, okay. School perceptions, it's called, honestly. Mayville's going to referendum, and I talked to one of their administrators down there, and they went out, found information. Lemira went to referendum, and Lemira passed a huge referendum for that community, like almost $30 million. They used, and they went out, they got the plan all together, they went out, found out, which one would be most palatable, and I think the one they went forward with got like 51%. They actually passed by a little more than that. In Mayville, they did the same type of thing. They went out and got information, and then now they're going to have this referendum, and I was asking this gentleman, so what do you think? He goes, the only thing that makes me nervous is we really didn't listen to the data that came back from the survey. So, I think really if we go out and we get a good response, and there's so much with science now, and these people gather data, they know what a valid response or a valid number, how many need to get back, that then I don't want what we do to be futile. I like to get information data and find out how people feel. So whatever we craft and do is palatable and doable instead of just some pie in the sky thing that just wouldn't fly. There's a reason. So I'd say 2 things. Number 1, get that data about the perceptions of the school and what they think the future, what we need. Then the second part is once we take that information with all the other information on our facilities, which options do you think would be palatable or what do you think would be good? But I really think the key would be, and this is something that I would be dedicated to with anybody else who want to help, is go out, go to Friendship, go to El Dorado, go to the town of Fond du Lac, go out to the different mobile park homes and hold sessions, listening sessions and information sessions.
Or North Fond du Fest.
North Fond du Fest, amen, yes.
I think it's important to note too that historically the board's been very careful about referendum and avoiding that at all costs. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here either yet. There's a long way to go. But every district around us has gone to referendum for exceeding the caps for things like putting new roofs on and technology and just being able to afford to run their schools multiple times. And they do it 2 or 3 or 4 years worth of spending, and they have to do another referendum. Brandon's getting ready to do their next one. Hopefield almost closed down a few years ago, or almost had to. And we've never done that yet. The only referendum in my time in 30-some years here was for the new buildings that we did, and then, well, there's a couple parts to that, but, so we just, you know, we're not just trying to find money to do stuff. We've been very conservative about that, because we know the community is conservative and always has been over the years. So, you know, keep that in mind as we go forward, too, that we don't take this lightly.
Right. And like technology, our school district has probably, I would say, one of the top technology school districts in the state, maybe even the country. If you look at our Wi-Fi, our one-to-one initiatives, every child from 5K all the way through high school has their own device. And we did all that within our budget, and we utilized leasing in different ways in order to make that work and to make sense and affordable. We've done that with some updating of our athletic complex, utilized the stimulus plan, the no-interest loans for that. So there's been things that we've done within our budget that we can do. What's that? Fund balance, where our fund balance has stayed. We've had it at a level and we've utilized it a little bit, but now we're getting to that point where we don't want to have to short-term borrow, because then you're just putting money into nothing. You know, but that's, I would say, probably 70% of school districts short-term borrow. And it's not because you don't have the money, it's just that the state doesn't get, and that's going to be a great thing from that activity that we do. Our largest amount that we get for our school district for spending, state aid, and we get about, what, 8 million in state aid a year, is in June, at the end of the year. So when you look at our fund balance at the end of June, we have just gotten our largest amount from the state. Last year, I think we got our fund balance down to about $200,000.
Fund balance?
Yes.
No. Oh,
Cash on.
oh,
The cash on
cash
hand, excuse me.
flow.
Cash
Yeah,
flow.
well, a little over 100,000 maybe.
Yep. So that,
Because the timing of when our bills are due and when payrolls are due and when our tax money comes in and when our pay comes in, they don't jive.
and it's weird, I mean, so we're setting our budgets in October, finalizing that in the levy, and we've already been working since July 1. I mean, it's the way that education funding in Wisconsin is very different than other states too. But understand, I think that is, this group is not just about what are our buildings looking like and what are we going to build, not build, whatever, but it's also to get people that, you know, are in different walks of life that come in and say, okay, I'm going to try to understand how things are funded and how this, you know, fund accounting is very different than it would be for your home or what you do or even business, private business. So I think that'll be pretty important. So, and Mike, I like your point. This is an outline. That doesn't mean it's in stone, but it's a good place to start. One of the things that you saw on here is it's this URL, and there's a link on our webpage also, and you'll see it up here. One of the things about information, how we get that information out, we have technology where we have our own app, we have our webpage, so, and we have email. So this is going to be up there, and some of you might have looked at this already, and that sheet right here is all on there. And then committee information for members. If you want, here's what I was thinking. I have this email. I'm going to be leaving. I'm going to a superintendent's conference out of state tonight. But I'll be back on Monday. While I'm there, I'll be working too. But I'll get an email out to see if people are interested. What I'd really like to do is everybody who's interested, if you don't have a North Fond du Lac email account, get you a North Fond du Lac email account. Because then a great thing we can do is there's this thing called Google Apps for Education, where we can share documents, you can see information. It'll be a very easy way to share and communicate. And then also one thing, and you can see, Mike, if you wouldn't mind holding that up, I saw you bring that in. This is what Bray had put together and gave the board in November. I do have that here, and thank you, I fixed the link, so when you hit on there, then it comes up. So this is what Mike has right there, and it was an analysis of the HVAC, and this is what Clint Seeley would come in either on the 9th of March, or we try to get him on the 23rd of March to kind of go through and talk to us about the state of the building or the buildings. And the nice thing that they come with is they've done this with many other school districts, so they can tell you comparative to what's going on in the Mr. McCourt's state. We're not in bed with them. They're doing this, and we have no other commitment anywhere else with them. If we're happy with what they're doing, we think they've done a great job, and it's somebody, you know, we'd still put out an RFP for architecture if we go that route, an RFP for everything. to be transparent. And I know there's other good architecture firms out there, but they can tell you comparatively where we're sitting. So this is all there that you can look at. And then there was one part that it's the plumbing report for our span. If you really want to start looking and digging in, there's a little bit of stuff here on plumbing that wasn't included in that open one. So any of the information that we get, I will put it on here so you'll have access to it. One thing they did provide too were like 3 options for a new friendship, a remodeled friendship, a building there. And I thought, how fun to look at, but that's way ahead and that's not even something we're thinking about right now. And I think just to build the process, so that's not even up here. This is just the study and some reports. And this is where I'll keep putting all those reports so anybody can look and find this that's out there. So I guess from this point, you see that there's a legal pad coming around. Anybody see where that's at? Got it back there? Okay. What I'm going to do is, I know that there's a couple people who weren't here that were interested too. I'm going to put their emails on there also, and what you will in the next week and a half, you will get an email from me saying, hey, if you're still interested, what I'm going to do is it'll go out to everybody, but I'll put you on a blind carbon copy so that nobody else will know that you're getting sharing your email. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but want to do it that way. So then if you want, just go ahead. I don't want to start to get sidebars and conversations going. We call that a walking forum. That's why our board never emails like as a group. But if you're interested still after tonight and hearing the things, let me know, and then we'll get you all set up and you'll be a part of the committee, and I'll make sure that you get all the agendas, information, and ideas, and that you would have access to all this data. And also we could get you a school district email address and put together a group, so then you would be able to communicate with each other and have access to the other tools that are on Google Apps for Education. Yes, Mr. Schultz.
I got a question for you. I have a problem with a conflict on the second Monday
Okay.
of the month.
Okay. And what we'll do is we'll either videotape them all the time. Probably can do that so you can look at that. And if that's something, if you can't come in, I'm just trying to do that for consistency's sake. And I think if we try to find out a time for everybody, it's going to be tough. But that doesn't mean I don't think that you can't be on it. We'll just fill you in on everything. And the one thing though is if you can't make a meeting, I don't know if you've ever been in committees before. One of the most frustrating things is that if you're at a committee and somebody doesn't make the meeting, then all of a sudden you spend the whole half of the next committee trying to get somebody caught up on what the committee is or what we did. So we'll make sure that we take notes and have information, so if you missed out, and I'll always be available, you can come and talk to me or to Maria or Dave or whatever structure you would set up, that you can get that information, get caught up before the next committee, so that next committee meeting can be focused on what we're doing, not on rehashing and trying to get 1 or 2 people caught up because they couldn't make it. Mr. Keller.
Are you going to look at balance of the committee?
Yes.
Balance, I mean like people from all different municipalities, with those with children, those that are retired, those, you know, you go, et cetera, so that it's well represented, the cross-section
Yep.
of the community.
Yep, and I think right now we have a good representation here, and then I think at the next one, where's our hole? Like, who don't we have on this committee that we need? I think as we look, we have a group that really, I'm excited, we have people who don't, this is probably one of the more difficult groups to get, would be somebody who does not have children in the district that lives here. You know, because then their whole mindset is a little bit different than what it is. So that's probably the most difficult group to get. We have that represented pretty well already. And then I know that Heather Switz was very interested in it. She's currently coaching a basketball team. She's a parent, younger parent with people in it. We have Joe that's got some parents, so definitely. And I think also, Mr. Kellogg, a great thing if there's a group that we're missing, or an area that we're missing, that if you can think of that, anybody let me know. And I also think what's really great is to have some friendship, because friendship is almost the same size as far as what we pull, as far as students as the village.
And tax base.
And tax base. Actually, it might even be a little bit higher. Kind of fluctuates pretty close. Yeah. So, all right. All right, well, thank you everybody for coming. Look for an email from me in the next week and a half. And our next meeting will be March 9th, which will be a Monday at 5 till 7. And hopefully we'll have Clint for that one to come. If he can't come, then what we'll do is maybe we can start and get the business, maybe we can do the financial thing at that time. We'll see what's going on. But we'll have that one. So our next, we have 2 meetings for sure scheduled. That will be the 9th of March and the 23rd of March from 5 to 7. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. And if you want, stick around. We got a board meeting coming up too.
Yeah, I think so. Hello, retired guy, what are you doing? Keeping out of trouble?
What?
Yeah, I know. Things going on.
That's what we gotta do at that point.
I think that's additional perspective, you know, you never know. That's helpful too.
Turn on my door in the car. Pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. 159.
ROSECER 150.
I turn my ring on every time. There'd be moths flying.
Oh, I got it. So we got Rose, Jared, 50, and Charlie.
Get out of my basement.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, no, I got you. You got that doctor here.
We only have to sign in if we're,
You got a couple more years yet before you do that. 6 or 7. Yeah, and I talked to your wife one time. She said, oh, yeah, about 6 or 7. Because I told her I was retired. I was shopping in the middle of the day anyway. And she says, well, what are you doing here at this time? Aren't you working? I said, no, I'm retired. I retired last January.